Johnny Hincapié walked out of the courthouse after Judge Eduardo Padro tossed out his murder conviction in the infamous 1990 stabbing death of Brian Watkins and granted a new trial.
Shame on those individuals that did this to me. Shame on all those individuals that had knowledge of what happened to me. But I forgive them. I forgive them because they have to deal with justice.
Hincapié broke down in tears when the judge announced his decision. His family and friends erupted in cheers. Brian Watkins was a tourist from Utah visiting to attend the U.S. Tennis Open when he was stabbed in the subway protecting his parents from muggers. Hincapié was one of 7 teens from Queens convicted of murder. He later said a detective beat him into giving a false confession and he fought for his release.
It's a hell of a lot easier getting people into this system than getting them out, even when they don't belong in here in the first place.
In a series of hearings this year, 3 people, one a convicted co-defendant, testified that Hincapié was not on the subway platform when Watkins was killed. The judge denied Hincapié's claim of innocence, but said there should be a new trial.
I knew this day was going to come someday somehow, because 25 years of waiting and injustice and suffering had to be over someday.
The murder of Brian Watkins is considered a turning point in New York City in the fight against crime. After that horrible incident, thousands of additional officers were placed on the streets.
It sort of changed us as New Yorkers forever. But Johnny Hincapié didn't do it.
Those officers, 5,000 in all, began a reduction in violent crime that continues today. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office says it has not decided whether to appeal, but that it is committed to retrying the case if necessary. In Manhattan, Dean Memminger, New York 1.
Prosecutors are appealing a judge's decision to throw out Johnny Hincapié's murder conviction. Hincapié was one of 7 men convicted in the 1990 stabbing death of Brian Watkins. Watkins was a tourist from Utah visiting the city with his family to attend the U.S. Open. He was killed defending his parents during a subway mugging. Hincapié's lawyers say the Manhattan DA's appeal is the legal equivalent of putting his case into hospice. They say the process will add another year or 2 of uncertainty before it's quietly dismissed.
In this case, the court, the judge that listened to the case, looked at all the witnesses, saw their demeanor, saw how they testified, and made sort of specific factual findings. And those are the kinds of findings that rarely get overturned by an appeals court. But you know what it does? It puts a lot of time back on the clock for the DA's office.
Hincapié was free last month after serving 25 years behind bars. He says he was coerced into a false confession during his last trial. New testimony presented in the past 2 years claimed Hincapié played no part in the attack. He's due back in court on February 3rd.